Just realizing that you don't need
Hello?
animatronics just to make it amazing.
Animatronics?
Ted's on his last 2 margarita field trips, and he's already realized that he doesn't need animatronics just to enjoy a good restaurant.
Alright, I'm gonna hope this works this time, because YouTube decided to just not...
I am hoping so too, otherwise there might be a problem on my end.
Oh no, it's definitely not. If anything, it's a problem on YouTube.
Oh, it happened to you too as well?
No, it was a problem. It was a problem on YouTube's end. The stream was fine. OBS was fine. It was just YouTube.
Okay. I thought it was just my end fucking up or such because of my Wi-Fi or such.
Is it working now? I'm gonna start swinging around.
I hear myself very quietly.
Okay, take 2. Here it is. It's not here. Where is the West?
Where did it go?
There we go. I found it. Whoa, a tier list. That's crazy.
Hang on, I haven't seen it yet.
That might take a couple of... Alright, so... Still working. YouTube? It's working. Okay, it's working.
Actually, I'll just pretend. Whoa! Is that a tier list?
Whoa! What does that mean? Alright, so the blue arrows, these ones, are buffs. They imply that the status effect is being inflicted, like if you're using a weapon. And then the debuffs are the debuffs. It means that you're being inflicted with said status effect. I divided it into those two categories because some of them are vastly different depending on if you're talking about inflicting it versus being inflicted.
Oh, hold on. Is this your opinion versus my opinion, or is this just...
It's my opinion,
what do you think's best?
But you're here because I'm boring.
Okay. Wait, you're boring? I thought I was boring.
Nah. Why did I switch
guess we're
back?
both boring in our own world's perspective, Spark.
Alright. Well, this is the order it started in, so I guess I'll just go in order. Curse. Of course, it had to be the most niche. Actually, I guess sleep is probably. Alright, so Curse is interesting. The only weapon I need to remember to switch between what it does. The only weapon that can inflict Curse is the Grand Faust.
Yep.
Which even then is not that great at inflicting it because the second swing is very inconsistent of when it does inflict, and the charge attack is too risky to actually use because it can inflict you with Curse. Curse files are nice, but the thing about Curse is that it's only really good against enemies that attack quickly.
It's also nice if you have a charge time reduction on Grand Faust, otherwise you'll be sitting here for at least like a couple of seconds for it to charge up.
Yes. And on top of that, whenever it does inflict you, you're basically not able to do anything for like a minute. Or longer, depending on how negative your resistance is.
Yeah.
It's only really good in terms of inflicting it, because that's what we're on, I think. So in terms of inflicting it, the only real use it has is against fast enemies that keep attacking, because enemies like gremlins, when they're at low health, they will just hide in a corner and not do anything. But against things like fiends, well, the ones that can be cursed, because some of them can't, fiends and silkwings especially, it just melts them, because Silkwing, every single time they heal, it counts as an action, and it just instantly kills them.
Oh wow, I didn't know healing counted as an action that would hurt them.
Yeah, Silkwings and Menders, but Menders have the same issue where they'll eventually, if they get too low, they'll just stop doing anything and just go hide in their corner.
Huh, interesting.
So, I don't know what happened to the last two tiers, but I guess I'm leaving it at D for being... Oh yeah, also, I forgot to mention, I'm gonna rank them on S being the most, like, in terms of inflicting, S as being the most effective, and then D being almost useless, like, don't even bother, and then being inflicted is gonna be S is the most dangerous or most difficult to deal with, and D is the least dangerous, or you should just not even acknowledge the status effect. So inflicting it, it's very situational. Most of the time, it's actually just not that great, but when it does work, it's really good. Also, it scales off tier, so in tier 4, it's actually really good if you can inflict it. And then the debuff. Pretty awful, because it basically stops you from playing the game for a minute. Or longer, depending on what your resistance is. I keep reading to switch to Windows.
Oh good, this video is finally over. Ted finally got the old margarita pills. Alright.
So, Grand Faust has... I forget what the chance was. I did do a test to calculate, but I actually forgot the numbers. But yeah, Grand Faust has a pretty high chance, I'm just getting lucky now, of cursing you whenever you use it. And then there are a few enemies, very few, that can inflict curse. Some that people still don't know for some reason. The Almiran Crusaders, the big guys, can inflict curse, rarely.
You honestly think some people are gonna look at the Spiral Knights lore? I mean, hell, I barely even look at it.
Well, it's just if you get hit by them sometimes, you can curse.
But but still, that implies for, like, information, you know, like, some enemies can curse you if you're not aware of it. I mean, hell, there are at least, like,
And then there's
a whole bunch of pros and elites almost every day, you know.
Carnivons, which appear basically exclusively in Darkfire, other than the Black Cat mission, and then the Black Cat event, which is an event that only shows up like twice a year.
Don't forget about the Phantoms. The Phantoms can also curse.
That's right. Yeah, the Phantoms that only spawn in graveyards, and you can just run past them because they respawn.
They can also hit you with their, I guess, charge swing and curse you.
Yeah, their little bullets that they fire can also inflict curse. Basically, curse is not in the game a lot. There's not too many situations of dealing with curse, but when it does get inflicted on you, it kind of sucks because you just can't attack. Any cursed item, including your consumables like barriers and pills, and even shield bashing, will deal a lot of damage to the player. A minute of curse with Black Cat. So it's actually less if you have neutral or higher resistance. But yeah, it just whenever you attack, you just take a massive amount of damage. Oh, I cleared the stats effect. Okay, well, a shield bashing would have dealt damage if it didn't clear the stats effect. Whoa, that's crazy. Is that Shadow Kirby?
Is that Shadow guy again? Oh man, what an asshole.
So again, very situational. I guess when it is inflicted, it is pretty dangerous, but most of the time, I'm gonna move it down actually, because most of the time whenever you are inflicted, you could just walk away and then wait for like a minute or 30 seconds for it to wear off, and then just continue. Because most of the time you're not in a battle when you're inflicted. But whenever you are, yeah, it is pretty dangerous. You just have to dodge, and you can use sprite abilities, actually. That is something, but those are on a cooldown. Fire, which is... so inflicting fire. Fire is actually really underrated. But the problem with fire is that... this only really applies to, I think, 2 weapons in the game, but in general, fire is either you're trading base damage of the weapon for fire, which just deals damage over time. Which is, you know, not bad, but usually just having higher base damage is better. Yes, the cutter. I forgot that one can do fire as well.
Yes.
But when it comes to just the status effect itself, using, for example, an Ash of Agni, you can deal several hundred damage just from placing this down once and then switching to another bomb in higher tiers, or lower depths, you know what I mean? So like, if you're just using like other bombs, or not even bombs, if you're just using regular weapons and then you place down an Ash of Agni just in the middle of the arena, all the enemies that at least run into the radius will take several hundred damage just over time, and it's really nice.
What is interesting to note is that the Red Saber does not do elemental damage, it just does neutral
Just normal damage, yeah. Also, yeah, the other downside of fire, not really a downside, but it is something to consider just because of how Sparlight's is that Vanaduke, King of Ashes, the farming mission in the game is fire. So the fire status just isn't useful in that mission at all, which is a shame because it's like most of what most of the Sparlight's like endgame is just running through this mission, and if you're using a fire weapon, you're not going to be getting any use out of the status effect. But again, when it does work, seriously underrated. Like I don't think people understand how good fire actually is when you're using it in a situation, for example, like Dreams and Nightmares. Just place like 1 or 2 down, and just most of the wave is gone after just a couple bombs.
It's a shame that the Warmaster Rocket Hammer doesn't do a fire effect damage or a burning effect.
To be honest, it's probably better that it doesn't, because again, it would be trading the weapon's base damage for a fire status. Typically, dealing just more damage is better, because the fire status just deals more damage.
It could have at least acted like a Fang of Fog, where, you know, you take damage if you use the charge attack too often or such.
Anyways, and then we have fire debuff, Which, I'm gonna make another statement. Fire as a debuff is not threatening at all. I mean, sometimes it is, especially if you get hit at low health. Also, sometimes what can happen is that you immediately take fire damage from the hit, and then you take another tick. I can't get to sleep segment. Man, I wonder, why can't I just skip to the end? I want to see the full tier list. Hello, General Zax.
Oh, we got a streamer? We got
Yes,
a viewer?
he asked why can't you skip to the sleep segment. I'll get there, don't worry, I have some words about sleep.
It's alright, this isn't
But yes,
a
one
video,
thing-
this is a stream. If you want a video, you'll have to watch one of Spark's other videos, which is probably out of
I'm
date.
not sure how well I can demonstrate this with Fang of Og, but something that a surprising amount of people, even like really like endgame players that
More
like
experience.
yeah, very experienced players, either they don't know about this or they just don't do it, and I don't know why, because it's extremely useful. But dashing actually, because dashing gives you iframes, you can use the dash to ignore up to 2 ticks of fire damage, which is huge. It's basically
Get on fire.
yeah, right there. That was I think it was 1.5. I think I dashed too early there.
I think you dashed a little too early, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little hard. It's hard to demonstrate with Fang of Og when you're lighting yourself on fire. But yeah, you can dash to ignore some of the damage from fire, which in missions like Vanaduk, even if you're wearing Black Cat, can go from dying from 1 status from fire to just surviving with like half your health. And especially in like Shadow Layers, when healing items are very limited. Like I've seen several videos where people like doing Shadow Layers or like other endgame missions, like they either waste a pill or they just take the full damage from fire when they're not using their dash anyways. And I'm like, well, if you just pressed your dash, you could have saved like pretty substantial amount of health. So yes, you use your dash if you're on fire. Well, conserve your dash, and then you can use it.
Well, they could just do the usual, stop, drop, and roll.
Or they can
That normally
stop.
doesn't work.
The button doesn't work. I can't believe they took it out of the game.
911 help! There's a person on fire! He stopped, he dropped, but he's not rolling!
I'm trying to demonstrate again. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, right there. I ignored 2 ticks of fire damage just then. I still died because I'm using
drop, and
Fang
roll!
of Og, but if I was in like Vanaduk, I could go demonstrate this in the actual run, but I don't feel like it. But yeah, if you go to like Vanaduk or something, even with your base health, you can go from dying to not dying, just from dashing and ignoring some of the damage.
Can you ignore shock damage with the dash?
Yes, but you can also just hold up your shield. Wait, is shock next? Where are we? No, freeze next. Freeze.
I don't
I'm
know
going to
about
make
that. I don't know
another
about that
statement.
shock.
Oh wait, no, this is inflicting freeze. But yeah, this is another example of so inflicting freeze is interesting because it sucks.
Trying to see.
Any minute.
Yeah, the video just keeps, like, when I refresh it, it just keeps, referring back to the list. Never mind. Never mind. Oh, hang on. I think it's back. It's buffering. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Pineapple Obama pizza. Pineapple Obama pizza. I think we're good. And knock on wood. And hope nothing bad happens.
Hello?
Okay.
Can you let me know if the it's working on YouTube side?
Yeah, the stream is playing.
Okay. Oh, I see it now. Okay. That was just awful.
We're sorry about that. Technical issues, folks.
Okay.
We tested this before, doing an audio test, and it was running fine. And then...
Yeah,
started doing
everything's
this-
fine on my end. I think it's just YouTube is having a moment. Okay, I'm gonna wait for it to... Okay, it seems to be working.
Yeah.
I don't know where it cut off. I was talking about freeze, and basically how freeze isn't very useful as a sass effect being inflicted most of the time.
Yeah,
and it's good for crowd control, like in RRT, in close quarters. But you're also sacrificing, you know, dealing just damage for crowd control, which sometimes is better, but most of the time just dealing damage would be better. Now, there is an exception for weapons like Winter's Grave, which allows you to just freeze lock enemies, which is great. Oh, I see the error. What happened? It's still working, never mind.
Wait, an error happened?
Okay, never mind. Well, I saw an error, but apparently it went away. Also,
Okay.
I forgot to switch weapons again, my bad. Yeah, which is an exception for weapons like, what's going on?
Something wrong?
For Battle Sprite, I don't know much about Battle Sprites. Seraphix levels, which one? Okay, I'm not the right guy for ask for Seraphix abilities. I don't know them off the top of my head. All I know is that the defense reduction array is good, and that's it. I don't think either of the other two ultimates matter.
Sorry, if you want to ask for pets, you're gonna have to go to a pet store for that one.
Pet store. No, I know that for ultimates, the defense reduction array for the first ability. The second ability, you want to pick the one that gives a defense orb that increases the chance of defense boosts. And then I don't think the third one matters since they both have a different effect. So I don't know, just the wiki kind of shows. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So being able to inflict freeze can be useful when used on the right weapons, but most of the time when you're using it on, for example, like a Triglav, a Glacius, the Pulsar, kind of, it's not the greatest. Usually, it either doesn't matter or it. And I'm gonna be
Video. God fucking damn it. Oh? Is it back? I think it's back. Nope, and it's gone. Nope. And it's back.
I super up.
Big YouTube.
I'm considering just stopping and doing a recording instead. It's just awful.
YouTube poop moments.
Oh, wait, is it working still?
Yes, it seems to be working. Unless if I shut up and jinx it again.
Alright, hold on. Let me know if you see me in the training hall swinging my Turbillion on the stream.
Yes.
You do?
Yes. I'm not saying anything else because I don't want to jinx it.
Okay, okay.
Just continue with the
move along.
Just continue talking about how the chilling freeze is like
smoothly.
fucking Castle Crasher's ice mechanics.
So freeze as a sass effect that can inflict you is the most dangerous sass effect in the game. Technically not. I would consider sleep to be more deadly, but sleep is literally only inflicted by 2 enemies in the game in a very obscure level. Freeze is much more common, so I'm gonna give freeze the title of most dangerous status effect, even considering Black Cat's natural freeze max. Not freeze walk, but it has freeze max. If you get another freeze UV, you get freeze walk, which doesn't make you immune to freeze, and you're still I have freeze high in my armor with the Black Cat set, so I have like more than you need for freeze walk, and I can still get freeze locked and just die from like a single hit from just continuously getting hit over and over again and getting reset with the freeze. Heart of Ice is just awful because on top of really weird hitboxing of Devilites and Grievers, they can just keep reinflicting the freeze over and over again. It's just awful.
Hey, Spark, I thought of a joke.
Oh no.
What killed the YouTube? The Ice Age!
Okay, anyway. Yeah, exactly. Also, not to mention the iconic freeze traps that just, kill you. People have known about that for years. And yeah, that's why I would like even with freeze I don't think that having like freeze walk or like shock walk, whatever, should make you immune to the status effect. But it's just the fact that you're able to be freeze locked, and like even a howitzer, like with my full Black Cat, a howitzer can just instantly kill me if I get unlucky, because each shot freezes me for I think 4 seconds, which is more than long enough for it to just fire again. It's awful.
Man, Spark, I think all this talking about freeze is freezing the YouTube VOD.
Oh no, it's still working. Don't scare me like that. Yeah, so freeze awful. I hate it. It's awful.
Sorry.
Poison is next. Inflicting poison.
How cold of me.
Is poison is pretty good. Pretty good. Not amazing. Well, I mean, no, poison. Okay, I'm not sure how to say it, because like poison as a stats effect is actually really, really good, but you're trading off with weapons that either deal higher damage or, instead of using something like for example, that's like if we do Obsidian Crusher versus Electron Vortex. Obsidian Crusher is nice and inflicts the poison, but it only inflicts it after the bomb is detonated, which is nice because you can combo into a second bomb. You can place 2 in a row. The first one will poison, sometimes poison, and the second one will pull them in again, but you could do the same thing with Electron Vortex and just hit them with a weapon. But poison as a status effect is really powerful. I'm not sure how significant the damage reduction from monsters is, like the damage. What am I trying to say? Oh, people are here.
Hola! Hello!
Hola.
Disable healing is busted. Yes,
that is really good, especially for what's it called? Gremlin Menders are smart enough to just not heal when things are poisoned, but Silkwings are not. They will continue to just heal things and deal damage, which is nice. But again, you're looking at, using, Obsidian Edge versus you're losing a lot of damage compared to Acheron. I don't think there are any good poison guns. Because, you have Biohazard and Obsidian Carbine, which... Biohazard?
Biohazard? The Bio-Chat has arrived?
And then for bombs, you have, I think it's just the Humbug Hate. There actually aren't that many weapons that...
Someone's asking if you're still in the Only Knights.
Yes, I am. The guild's dead. There's no one in here. It's just me. But yes. It's a funny name. But yeah, the bomb is good. But also, there's one more thing to consider, which is what I would argue is the best pet in the game for surviving. For general gameplay, I would give that title to the Drakon, just because the speed buff is amazing. Because to a certain extent, at a certain point, you don't need battle sprites, but at this point, I'm just comparing battle. Anyways, the Mask Wraith is incredible because you have on-demand poison builds whenever you want. After like 14 seconds, but they are incredible. Being able to inflict poison on just any target that you're facing and deal extra damage. Well, I forgot about Dread Venom Striker. Again, not a good weapon. I don't think there are any good weapons that inflict poison, other than the poison bomb, which is specifically made to inflict poison, which is nice. Also, I just remembered items. That's kind of the thing, because there aren't any good weapons that inflict poison, except for Obsidian Edge. But you may as well just use Acheron and have another source of poison. But then I just remembered items exist: poison vials and poison barriers, which you can use that while using a high damage. I don't know why I'm still ranting about this. Basically, poison's good, but basically the only optimal way to inflict it is with the bomb or with consumables, because none of the poison weapons are actually good themselves.
Oh, so much toxic talk about poison.
Oh my god, you're gonna do this with every. Oh wow, let me guess. The next side effect is shocking, huh? Are you shocked about my rating of a poison?
I'm electrified by it.
Let me guess. You're gonna be stunned by my rating of so poison has a debuff. Dealing with it
oh man, Spark,
entirely depends
with these
on
puns.
where you are, but
It's
in
very
most
cursed.
of the game,
Dead again. Fuck.
any second now. We're back, I think. Are we back?
It's a game of tug of war right now.
Between YouTube and YouTube. Quite frankly,
live streaming and not live streaming.
Quite frankly, I don't know which one's winning. Are we back? We're back, hopefully.
We're getting back. We're pulling the line.
I don't know what. Okay, so poison as side effect, pretty easy to deal with. The only major downside is the damage, damage debuff, because I'm pretty sure. I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure the less poison resistance you have, the more powerful the effect actually is. So when you're wearing something like Black Cat, you're dealing it feels like half of your damage when you're poisoned, which is just awful, because in some situations it's just better to just not attack, because trying to attack while poisoned, you just deal so much less damage. I never noticed the defense reduction, but apparently there is one when you're poisoned. And then the healing, for me, typically isn't an issue. But there is also, yes, Compound 42, I was just about to get into that, which is a very unique mission because both status effects work hand in hand. Poison stopping you from healing and fire dealing continuous damage over time. Which, yes, in that mission, if you're using something like Black Cat or Chaos in Compound 42, you're not going to have a good time because of also how terrible the hitboxes of the toxic oils are. Their dash attack covers, imagine all these blue tiles right here in front of me. Their dash attack can cover all of that in half a second. It's awful. And then if they're on fire, they immediately poison you and light you on fire. That's more of an issue with the mission itself. But for that mission, I mean, again, the only reason poison and fire is an issue there is because both status effects are working together. Individually, poison is really easy to deal with, and personally, for that mission, I would recommend either having full fire or full poison, and then you're dealing with only one of the two status effects, which makes the mission significantly easier. Where was I? Yeah, poison, very easy to deal with. Usually, it's just less damage for a few seconds.
Sheesh, that's quite the fever headache though you got there. Poison and
I knew it was shock. I'm not really sure what to do about shock.
I'm sorry.
Because, on one hand, the damage over time is not good. It's very, especially compared to something like fire, you're doing way less damage over time. But it does have the AoE.
'Cause
I can actually
if I
check.
was,
Right?
you know, if my opinions were involved in this, I definitely would say a lot of things about shock.
Well, I'm talking
But
about
this is your
I'm
first,
talking
so
about
I think-
shock as a status effect that you inflict.
Oh, well, I mean...
It also does come with the benefit of staggering enemies sometimes. I'm gonna cut the normal damage, doing I think 22 damage. I can't check because you're gonna be reflected.
Yeah, honestly, what the person is saying in chat right now, yeah, I honestly agree. Use fire instead of shock.
You're doing 22 to 28. I don't know why I'm testing this, because shock also has 60 to... Okay, it's 60 all around. So shock does also have the benefit of, on top of dealing, it also can deal damage to nearby targets, which sounds nice, but it does very little damage. But shock also comes with the benefit of staggering enemies sometimes. I don't know, especially with larger targets like lumbers and Trojans, it doesn't. Actually, I don't even know if you can shock Trojans. But it's like here, like they can't even. Okay, yeah, sometimes they can still get an attack off. It has utility.
Canceled.
It has utility, but also it's trying to do damage at the same time. It's like a mix between freeze and fire, having crowd control and damage. But unlike freeze, it actually, you know, continues being helpful after you hit something once. So it is pretty good. I'm thinking probably A, because I don't really... it's useful, but... You have better status effects available, or you can just deal damage.
I mean, the shock can sometimes cancel you out of an attack.
Well, now we're on shock
annoying.
as a status effect being inflicted, which
okay.
I'm a little mixed on, because on one hand, well, again, it completely depends on where you are. I don't have any way to inflict. Wait, I'm silly. I should have gone to this entire time. I should have gone to the advanced training hall.
Huh?
The one with all the traps.
Oh.
One moment.
Well, I'll wait to join you.
So yeah, it depends on where you are and what enemies you're fighting. Because if you're fighting something that's really slow, or you know they don't attack often, then you're not going to have an issue dealing with shock. But if you're fighting something like fiends that just chase you down no matter where you are, you're gonna have to deal with it or find a cover. Now shock is interesting because it does stagger you, which is awful, but I'm trying to compare the staggering of shock versus the not being able to move from freeze. I mean, with shock, you at least have opportunities to move around and avoid attacks, but with freeze, you have the opportunity to attack, but you can't move, which is a lot more punishing in this game.
Yeah, freeze, it locks you in one direction, depending on where you're facing, which can be a bit difficult. But shock, especially when you're in the middle of, like, say, like, swinging, and you do, like, 3 swings, and the shock interferes, it can disrupt the whole entire swing and then cause you to be vulnerable to an open attack.
I'm gonna put shock as a status effect just in the middle, because it's very situational, because you also have the benefit of being able to negate the damage from with shielding. Not that shock can deal as much damage to begin with, but you know, it is something extra.
How have I not gotten shock yet? What the fuck? There we go. Yep, there we go. Just, yep.
Oh yeah, I'll say if you're trying to use bombs, it's just awful.
Yep.
It's situational. It depends on what enemies you're fighting.
Especially when you charge up your weapon too, and you have a fully charged like Blitz or Grim Repeater or something. It just cancels the charge on. You have to recharge it again. And it's
okay, and then
annoying.
we have this one, Sleep. Freeze Part 2. Sleep is very interesting.
Oh boy, I'm cold. Let me sleep.
So Sleep is very... It's interesting. I don't know how exactly... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very situational, how dangerous shock is. So Sleep, there's only one weapon that inflicts it, and you also have the Sleep Vials. It does, I mean, technically, compared to Freeze, it is a more potent version of Freeze, because it just completely stops enemies in general, but the downside is that after they wake up, or after you wake them up with an attack, they are immune to sleep for a couple seconds, which is a nice way to balance it, but to go back to Freeze, the problem is that with Freeze, there's no cooldown. So as soon as you get out of it, you can be immediately frozen again, which is why Freeze is just awful.
Another thing about sleep is that it can also heal enemies.
Barely. The healing is even in tier 4, the healing is negligible. But also, yeah, it's a reason you could use poison to.
Why did that kill?
Using a. Are they really that weak?
That's a 2-star weapon. Yeah. What the fuck?
Now there is one thing. I wouldn't be able to demonstrate this in the other training hall anyways. There is one kind of good use for sleep that actually Bio showed me this because he kept using the bomb. Sleep. So what it does, I wonder if I can demonstrate this with a weak weapon.
I have the wrench right here.
I'm gonna hope these guys don't immediately die.
They shouldn't.
So you can hit them once. You can hit them 3. Okay, I think these guys are weird. Normally you can normally if you hit an enemy twice they wake up. Otherwise they are completely immobile. Which actually works for knockback, which is a little weird, but it basically allows Iron Slug to function like a Witch's Grave if you shoot an enemy that is asleep. Because the charge attack won't knock them away for the first couple hits because they're asleep. Which, again, extremely situational. You're never going to need that, especially if you're already using an Iron Slug, you're able to one-shot things anyways. As I miss. But yeah, you can use that to hit enemies multiple times. Other than that, you can use sleep to make freeze enemies stay in place, but it doesn't work on constructs. Other than that, again, with the same thing as some of the other stats, like it's better to just deal damage. I mean, crowd control is nice, but when you're limited on when you can inflict it, it's just not good. But it does have its uses, and also it's kind of funny sometimes. Sleep as a debuff. I'm gonna put, technically speaking, just as its debuff. As a debuff, it actually is probably the single most dangerous stat effect because it completely stops you from doing anything. The only thing you can do is use a remedy capsule. You can't block or do anything while you're asleep. But the other side of that is that the only 2 enemies in the game that inflict sleep are both in one of the most obscure levels in the game. That only appears in the Clockworks. The Shrine of Slumbers, where are they? If they even are any, my point exactly is that they're so... Do we not have any?
I don't think we do.
We don't even have any. It's exactly what I mean. Even if I wanted to, I can't inflict myself with sleep unless I went into lockdown. But I'm not considering PvP in any of this.
Well, there's really no one who's going to be willing to, allow us to do test runs in PvP.
A very just uncommon side effect. You'd never see it except that one level type. But when it is inflicted, it is very dangerous because it has the same hit thing as the status effect from the bomb, where you can get hit once while asleep and it won't wake you up immediately. You have to get hit twice. Which means that if you get asleep and then a lumber walks towards you, you're just gonna tank 2 hits from a lumber before it wakes you up, which is very, very dangerous. Now, last but certainly not least, we have stun, and I have some words. That is true, which again is one of it has the stagger of you're able to stagger with shock.
Stream buffer? Oh yeah, boy, stream died. Fight, chat! Fight it!
Fight it!
For Sparta! Let me. Kill me! Kill me! Fuck you! Ha!
I'm waiting for the stream to load if it's back. It seems to be back.
I think it's back. I think I beat the shit out of Lord YouTube.
Okay, sorry about that. Shock. Yeah, so the thing about Shock with Venom, yes, it can stop them from dashing, which is really good. That's why people use shock barriers as well as poison. But the problem with that is that you have to just get lucky and hope that he dashes when the proc happens, because even if he's shocked, if it happens after, like, way after the shock actually, like, procs, like, does the stagger thing, he can still move while shocked. Freeze has a similar thing, but the freeze, it you know, unfreezes him every time you hit him with the blitz needle, which is not good. It can help, but it has the same issue as shock, where you just have to hope that he dashes while the status effect procs.
Hold up. Damn it, stream.
Oh, is it back?
Please.
I think we're back. Literally two things left, please. So the thing about stun, I'm gonna get to the bomb in a second, but like, for weapons, there are very few weapons that even inflict stun, and when they do, it's not very helpful. Iron Slug, you knock enemies so far away from you that even if they don't get stunned, it doesn't really matter, because you'll end up either staggering them or killing them anyways.
Nope. Don't forget about the shields. The shields can also provide stun as well.
Alright, he already left. Oh yeah, shield dash. Okay, that's a different. I mean, yeah, shield dashes are. Stun can be useful for just having enemies be really, really slow. Which I'll get to the bomb in a second. And then there's Tutor Skill, which has the same thing as Iron Slug, where you just knock enemies away from you and stagger them anyways. Unless you're fighting something very big, like a lumber or something that doesn't get knocked back very far, the stun can actually help you avoid a hit for slowing them down. But typically for weapons, it's just not as helpful as dealing higher damage or having another status effect. But then there's the bomb, which is actually one of the best haze bombs, in my opinion. Just being able to inflict everything with stun, slowing everything down. Stun, it actually has a very weird interaction with shock, to where shock will stagger them at most attacks. Oh, if I can... These target enemies are a bit weak. Where stun will, the shock will stagger them at most attacks, and the stun will make it just really slow. It can be useful in crowds, but I mean, this is only really useful in like arenas in the arcade. Also against Vanaduke, I've seen people use like shield dashes to inflict stun on Vanaduke, which is actually very useful because it makes him like twice as slow or something. Probably not twice as much, but it makes him a lot slower. And also reduces the chance of him getting a dash out of the way.
Really? I've never seen that before.
Yeah, when you stun Vanaduke, it makes him slow.
I know, but I've never heard or seen people do that.
I've seen a couple people do it. I usually don't, just because I'd rather just charge up the blitz and then use that time charging up a blitz. But sometimes
I think we've all been there and done that.
As a side effect, it's good, but very situational again. I'd say definitely not as good as like if you were to just use poison, shock, or fire. But it's weird. I mean, I guess use stun if you're inflicting a bunch of status effects at once. But if you only have access to one, or if you're only going to choose one, you'd be better off using one of these 3 up here. And then we have the last one. Stream is still up, right? It's still up. It's still up. Okay, stream is still up.
Stream's still going. Stream's still going. Keep going.
We have last one. Stun is a debuff. Stun and debuff. It's really easy to deal with. Most of the time. Like 99% of the time.
It's really easy to deal with it. You just
it's really, you just move slower for like 2 seconds. The only times I can think of where stun is actually an issue, I guess if you're in, for example, like a Descent into Darkness, and like a Void Lumber hits you, and then you're just really slow and you're surrounded by 5 other enemies, then it's gonna be pretty awful if you just get hit by a bunch of attacks at once. But if you get, I mean, it's your fault for getting hit by a lumber in the first place. They're very, very slow.
Yeah, I mean, why would you do that? Why would you just sit there and let that guy clobber you, huh?
The only real issue I ever had with stun is whenever you get hit by something that inflicts a very heavy, like a very strong version of stun, like Vanaduke or Malos. What is that his name?
Malos? Prince Malos?
It doesn't say here. The boss in Heart of Ice, which is basically a Vanaduke reskin. Not really, but similar concept. They both, whenever they hit you, they inflict a very strong stun that actually just freezes you in place for a couple seconds. That can be very dangerous because it has the same issues as sleep, where you're just unable to do anything for like a second, maybe 2 seconds, depending on your resistance. And in both situations, it's really bad, because in Vanaduke, if you get hit by Vanaduke, you're also being lit on fire, and you're forced to take at least one tick of fire damage, because you're not able to do anything to remove it, unless you have a remedy capsule ready. And then for Malos, the Heart of Ice guy, he will usually knock you into the spikes at the side of the arena, and you'll again have to just take a hit from the spikes because you're unable to move. Other than that, like, what enemies even inflict stun? We have Lumbers, we have Trojans. We have giant lichen colonies, I'm pretty sure can inflict stun. I think Slagwalkers. Basically anything big, which is usually pretty easy to avoid in the first place. And in most situations, you're just moving slower. Especially if you're fighting something. Oh yeah, those guys.
Gremlin Hammer guys. Yeah, obviously.
Okay, that is a good point. But like, for example, for Lumbers, for Trojans, if you get hit, Trojans will only attack you if you stop moving. So even if you're moving slower, as long as you're moving perpendicular to them, they won't follow up. Even if you're already stunned. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that most times when you are stunned, it's very easy to get out of that situation, or to just not get hit for the duration of the stun. It's just not a dangerous side effect, which is why I'm putting it at the very bottom. And that's it. I'm gonna
team buffer before one last death before the end. Oh, trap. No, we're not back. We're not back yet. This stream attack is definitely hitting hard. Oh, hang on, maybe we are back.
Maybe, please. Okay, please, let me at least do the closing statements.
Let me fucking finish, you fat fucks!
I don't know where it cut off, I'm just gonna repeat. So, I had to make this because there wasn't already a status effect tier list on the tier maker website, so if you just search up Spiral Knights, it'll be within the first couple of options. I also left a link to this list in the description. Once again, I left it in the little description on the site that the blue buffs are inflicting the status effect with a weapon, and the red, or the pink debuffs is the status effect being inflicted on you. So that's why there's two different versions of each icon. Here's the list. I'm gonna leave it here. and then we're gonna stop for real this time, and it's not going to be YouTube.
We hope. Otherwise, the stream will be 2 hours long.
Also, once again, I rated this on S being buffs that are status effects that are helpful for inflicting versus not helpful, like down here, or like very situational, and then for debuffs, S being dangerous to deal with, and then D being, very easy or not threatening to deal with. Like these three, just dash, just play the game for a couple of seconds, and then play the game for a couple of seconds. Usually they're not hard to deal with. Now again, okay, we're still back for a couple seconds. Again, combo 42 is an exception because both of these together actually are an issue. But that's the only situation where either of these two status effects are threatening. So if you just bring full resistance for one of these two, the mission's going to be significantly easier. Because dealing with just fire or just poison is trivial compared to dealing with both, which is really annoying because they both work well together. Okay, are we still back?
Yes, keep going.
Okay, no, I was just making sure. I'm done. I'm done with the stream. Stream is ending. We're here. I'm gonna deafen.
This message was brought to you by Spark of Kill. If you want to see more content, go to his channel, which is located, down there or something, over there, over where. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be over here. I mean, it could be in this spike pit. Ah!
All right, thank you. I'm gonna deafen for a minute. I do not understand why it kept disconnecting. Everything is fine to my end, it's just YouTube isn't like me. That was way worse than it had to be. But we got through it. I'm gonna see... Yeah, it was awful. I'm gonna have to see if it's even watchable as a VOD.